Yes, welcome to the Unvarnished Views. I'm your host, and yeah, man, like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment. Let me know on the thing. Yeah. So today is August 1st. Jamaica, and in fact, the whole Caribbean is of the opinion that today is quote Emancipation Day. Yeah. So apparently, in 1833, yeah, yeah, the British freed the slaves. Well, I looked into it, right? I looked into it and I don't believe that narrative. I don't come to that conclusion that that is what happened. See, a lot of times, a lot of things in life is happening, right? They're happening and being disguised by language. They're being disguised by language, and we are thinking that one thing is happening when it's something totally different that is happening, right? And this is one of those cases. I do not believe that the British Empire released no slave, right? In the proclamation that they released in 1833, right? So what exactly happened? Now, we're gonna look at a few things that I would consider as evidence. Other people will probably not. Now, if we look into the whole situation, normally, let's say marijuana becomes illegal, right? The government is not going to come take your marijuana and compensate you for the marijuana. No, they're gonna come, they're gonna take the marijuana, they're gonna burn it. The government burn the most marijuana, and they they have the audacity to speak about persons who burn marijuana. My God. Anyways, so you're then going to be taken to a court, and you are going to be um have to give answer to a judge. Let's say it's something that we're going from one to the other. There might be some kind of grace period where you yourself are expected to get rid of this contraband. It used to be legal, no, it's no longer legal. You need to get rid of it, and you'll have a time to do that. That's usually how it works, right? It's not how it works. No, the government is not going to say, "Oh, this thing here that you have, you are not no longer able to have it, so we're going to come and take it from you, and we're going to compensate you." I mean, even if they are taking your land, right? Well, their land that you are holding. um, yes, you can get compensation. You can get compensation, but it's whatever they say. You have no negotiating power, right? And but land still is legal. They're taking your land, but land is still legal, so they compensate you. So did we see happen? Did we see something that became illegal? Government took them from whosoever had them and say, hey, it's let's say you have a crocodile. You're not supposed to have crocodiles. Owning crocodiles is illegal. If the government come and take your crocodile, they're not gonna compensate you for the crocodile. No. Yes, they're gonna free the crocodile and all of that, but they're not going to pay you for the crocodile. No. You are gonna have to pay for having crocodiles. But what do we see? We see where the British Empire took out the largest loan, the largest ever loan to compensate the slave owners for their slaves. So they compensated the slave owners. They gave them money, right, to compensate them for the loss of their slaves. But the slaves got nothing. Not not half an acre, not a mule. They didn't get land. They didn't get money. They didn't get any kind of compensation. Now, I understand that this is Jamaica, right? And a lot of people will feel like you should only look at what happened in Jamaica. But you have to understand the dynamics. This is happening everywhere, right? Maybe at different times or whatever, but the dynamics were the cracks, because it's the same thing that's happening everywhere. A lot of people think that it's different things happening in different
as I was
places.
saying,
No,
right,
the same thing was happening in different places, and different cracks were being revealed in different places. Because in one place, a crack may be that this may be the crack. The crack may be that the inside is red, and the other might be that the middle is blue. So we're seeing different parts that didn't quite work in different places. So that's what happened. Now, one other thing with let's look at what happened. Like, for example, in America, we see that when the slaves were released, right? Slavery was abolished, slaves were released. A very interesting thing happened. Even before the slaves were released, I believe this happened. When slavery started in the 1500s, that is actually when race was invented. Because a lot of people think that, oh, this is my race and that is your race. And nope. Nope. Race was invented the same time racism was invented. You can go ahead and look it up. Race was invented the same time racism was invented. Right? Unless they're going to say we are different breeds. Breeds is something, but race? No, that's not something. No. Not to say that certain section of people shouldn't stick together. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the concept of race was invented so that they could have racism. But what do I mean? That the the concept of race was invented so that we could have racism. All right, so this is what happened. We wanted to separate the people. Because these were for the most in for most instance people, they could see that they could talk, they had eyes, they had fingers, they could understand, right? um the separation was not clear. There wasn't a clear separation between, oh, these are whatever this is, and we are human, or we are man, and these are some kind of beasts that are just very close to us. They're not really humans. So they had to create that. So that's why they came up with race. Truth be told, persons within a certain um region will develop certain genetic traits will be more dominant in certain region, and especially in a area where we didn't have modern medicine and all of that to compensate for anything that our genes could not do for us, then we're going to definitely have the population features diverge into favorable features that will help them survive. So because they came to the equator, they came to the tropics to get these people. These people had already developed, they had the original darker skin, and they also were able to tolerate the heat of the sun more. So it's not like we are, I mean, the reality is, this is biologically speaking, only the Africans that stayed in Africa and were never colonized, so probably those in Ethiopia, are true Homo sapiens. Others, like there are 100 Homo sapiens. The others, especially the Europeans have high amount of Neanderthal gene in them, right? And that's why they are so aggressive. They're really aggressive, but they are passive aggressive because usually, or darker, we because we could be out in the sun more, we are more, we're stronger, tougher, and all of that because we have all this melanin. But let's not get racist, quote unquote. Um, so yeah, so race was created, and they decided to separate persons by something that would be very obvious, right? They decided something that we could quickly spot, and it didn't cause a lot of confusion as to how you would separate them. Now, if we are separating cats, for example, there might be, we have to probably look at the exact shape of their ear, or length of their tail, or whether their fur stands on its end or whether it lies flat. They didn't want anything like that. So they went with something pretty simple, which is the color of your skin. But if any, ask any Jamaica if they have ever seen an albino. Albino is still black. They still look exactly like a black person, except for one thing, their skin color. No, I am going somewhere with this. What happened is that when you want to create racist thing now, you have one separation, but you can also separate things using a different criteria that seem to not have anything to do with the problematic criteria, for want of better word. For example, we um we can say we can say we can use income, or we can use something that, all right, we can say anyone named Jamal, right? So no, it's not about you, it's just anyone named Jamal. But we can create um descriptions that would mean that the people that we would like to be um to be filtered out or filtered in would be the most of that population. So, what exactly is black and white? Because if you look at yourself as a person of African descent, you are not black. You are not. That is not black that you're looking at. That color is not black. And if you look at someone from you with European descent, that color is not white. So we are neither. They're neither. They're not white. We're not black. So why black and white? It's standing for something else. When they say white, they mean landowners. Landowners. That's what it means. That's a legal definition. You can go ahead and look it
No,
up in
when
Black's
they
law.
say white,
What they mean is landowner. When they say black, what they mean is dead. They mean that you are dead. Right? So when you say, "Oh, I'm a black man," and you are proud to be a black man, you are saying that you're proud to be dead. Because that's what this is why you have blackmail, black magic, all of these things that are black are negative. And we're saying, "Oh, why do all these things that are black are negative?" you are also negative. The description of you is also negative. It's just that you don't realize that it's a negative description. You are like, oh, I'm a black man, I'm a black woman. No, you're not. You're a white man. You're a white woman. And someone is saying, oh, this one has lost it. He's lost his marbles. He's off his rocker. You see, this is the system working just as intended because you now accept the separation, the segregation. But let us get back to slavery. Now, as I said, for example, in America, when the slaves were freed, they were not given land, they were not given house, they were not given anything. They were just let loose. Then they came up with a wonderful law. The law says that the law target people who are unproductive or something like that. I don't remember the exact term. But they created this law, right? You can go ahead and look up this law that allow them to go ahead and gather all of these same quote unquote black slaves, these people that they just pay the slave owners for. Yep, they went ahead and gathered them up and they put them in jail, right? Because they weren't unproductive. Any they didn't have any house, they didn't have car, they didn't have anything. They did not have nothing at all. So when they got them in jail now, they got them in jail. The jails are overflowing with these people. What did the jail decide to do? They decided to start renting them out. I thought slavery was illegal. So they rented them out for little or no pay. And the situation actually became worse. Why? Because when these people were the property of these slave owners, because they would end up sometimes on the same farm, the same plantation that they were before, when they were their property, they had an invest interest in protecting them and making sure, yes, they're going to beat them. Not saying that they're not going to beat them, they're not going to treat them cruel, but they had an interest in keeping them alive because this is your workforce, this is your free labor. This is your free machinery that's going to build your generational wealth. That a lot of persons who are saying that black people should not get reparation, they are still benefiting from this wealth that were created by these slaves. So, because of that, they would treat them at least with a little dignity, with a little. But once these now became indentured workers, rented. If you die, I just send you back and we rent another one in your space. So, so now slavery moved from persons owning their slaves to now renting them. But did I just say renting their slave? So if slavery is abolished, if slavery is no more, where did they get slaves to rent? That's right, people. That's the point I'm coming to all this time. The government did not abolish slavery. The government did a massive buyback. So they bought all the slaves. That's what happened. They bought the slaves and then they did this whole rigmarole. They did all of this just for optics, for people to say this is what happened. But that's not what happened. The government bought the slaves. The plantation owners released the slaves. The government found a way to gather back the slaves. And once they gathered back the slaves, they sent the slave back to the same plantation to work. Now, even now, we are still a part of this system. A lot of persons don't realize this is why they're able to charge you tax. Because let's think about this. If you own your body is yours. You have no contract with the government. You have no you and the government did not come to any kind of agreement. Then how are they able to charge you tax on your income? Why do you have to register all of your children? And if you look up the word register, it means to abandon. This is why the government can then if you decided that you're going to discipline your children a certain way, or you're doing something that the government doesn't like, they're telling you that, hey, you have to send your children to school so we can indoctrinate them and all of that. If you refuse to do all of that, because you register, which is to abandon, you abandon the child at the hospital, right? And when you abandon the child at the hospital, they give you custody of the child. That's what happened. So you abandon the ownership of the child for custody. So you now have custody of the child. So the court can now remove custody. So they can remove the child from your custody, and so it's not, he's no longer your child. You believe that, oh, this is my child, oh God, this is my child, I gave birth to it. It's not your child. You gave the child away. I know you didn't know, you didn't understand, but you actually gave the child away. And all of these children, because you're a slave, all of these children are given to the government, right? So that's what has been happening. We are still in the slave system. They are using the proceeds of our labor. So we are still being rented to plantations, different types of plantation, mind you. Our plantations is usually office spaces, and we still get punished. It's just that it's not beaten; it's written warning, and this is, in essence, the punishment is, if you don't fall in line, we're gonna fire you, which means that you'll be on the street, you won't be able to pay your bills, and you'll starve. So that's the new whip that they're using, the bills, because you can never stop paying these things. The moment you stop, you are no longer able to survive. So yes, we are still slaves, and the government is still collecting on our labor. And yeah, so happy Emancipation Day.